I just, wanted to do a little bit more today, just a little bit bigger spaces, a little bit bigger numbers. So we were able to do that, continue to work on our running a little bit, so now we'll ease down going into the game on Wednesday. So.
What have you made of last night? NASL was quite proud of itself for going 3-0 against. Can you tell anything from this stage of Open Cup?
All games are different. Obviously for all those teams, they were at home, which makes a huge difference. Not having to go through the travel, with the exception of maybe Red Bull. It's not that extensive a travel, although it might have taken as long for them to get from New Jersey into New York City as it took some of the guys to fly across country. And then it's just, the approach that each team took. Obviously, leaving some key players at home. NASL is the second division, so it's a level just a little bit below. And you always take a little bit of a risk then when you're not playing your top team. I watched bits and pieces of a couple of the games, didn't see any of the RSL games, so really can't comment on that. But, you're playing against guys that are really motivated, trying to prove, hey, I belong where you're at and you belong where I'm at. And that's the attitude they go on the field with, and so those are dangerous games. That's what makes the FA Cup exciting in England, because these upsets kind of happen. And here, when they happen, we start questioning whether one team's better or another. I don't think you can evaluate the quality of the two until you go into a situation where it's your first team against our first team, and then we'll see where we're at.
Speaking of those kind of lineup decisions, do they change because of the break this year, where you have less, fitness and health and that kind of thing to worry about?
Well, you have to manage your team for the whole season, and we have an MLS season to manage them through. So you're going to look at the Open Cup games then. Is this a window where a guy who's got maybe a nagging injury, can I rest him during this window? Can a guy who's played a lot of minutes, can I back off on some minutes here? So you try and take that into account in that period of time. Yeah.
In that sort of decision of in weighing everything, I guess to some degree you try and also pick a lineup that you can kind of get away with. Do you in any way feel that you sent the wrong lineup out against Tampa Bay last season?
Tampa last year? You can maybe say that, but I think at the end of the day, when you look at the game, Cosmos against New York was a 3-0 game. You lose on PKs. If you watch the game, I think Finley hit the post on a header. If that header goes in, then that game changes for Chivas, as an example. And they missed 5 penalty kicks in a row at the end. So obviously they had chances to win it there as well on penalties. So for us against Tampa last year, I think when you look at it at the end, we had chances. We had chances there to win it, to equalize it for sure, with the PK miss, with John Kennedy's opportunity late in the game. So we had the chances, but we didn't necessarily play our best game. So it was more a disappointment of how we played than really the lineup we put out there. I think the lineup we put out was strong enough, but it was, considering the travel and everything else, it was difficult, yeah.
I had just one other, but kind of more of an essay type question. Do y'all want to jump in?
I just had one about the sports science element and how much that plays into not just this week, but kind of the season as a whole, kind of the impact of sports science in the team right now.
Well, it's changed. For sure, in the old days, you looked at a player, said, does he look tired, does he look fresh? And you made your decision. So, but an awful lot of that has changed now. And as a coach, no matter what your age is or how long you've been doing it, you got to sort of move with the times. And I think there's some coaches out there that haven't done that. But for us here, it's an important part of what we're doing. And what we're doing really is not only, it's not like there's a right or wrong picture, but what we're trying to do is individualize the picture, that each player has this is a good reading for a player, this is a poor reading for a player. So to go back and forth between good and poor, for that individual. And so that's how we use sports science. Is this player fatigued right now? Maybe we need to rest him. We can substantiate it. It's not like we say this is what the ideal picture should look like. He's not fitting the ideal picture, because what's ideal for you might be different than what's ideal for me. But we're certainly using it, taking it into account, and I think it's helped us in terms of managing our players so far through this season and also the year in the past.
What kind of things change from maybe one training session to a next with an individual that you can kind of relate directly to?
Well, sometimes you change different things. With an individual, a lot of times it's where we've had some guys this year where we go easier with them on a Tuesday practice. Maybe, okay, we only do this on a Thursday. Yesterday, as an example, we were going to play at the end 4 games of 4 minutes, and we were sort of, because we get real-time numbers, we were looking at the numbers that were being generated, and we decided that 3 games in 4 minutes was going to be enough because where they were at with their heart rate and everything else. So those are little on-the-fly adjustments that you make sometimes within the practice, and then certainly with individuals, you tailor their practice based upon what you see.
Could you have imagined something like that even 5 years ago, where you're making adjustments to a training session based on what a computer's telling you?
I mean, I think it would have been good like 30, 35 years ago when I was playing. It could have helped. No, you really couldn't imagine. I mean, you always, as a coach, I've coached a long time now, you always made adjustments based upon what you saw. Okay, I think we can push them one more time. There's also mental fitness and physical fitness. So we run the balance of, okay, we know they're physically tired and physically it says this, but sometimes you want to push them through a barrier and a hurdle, because sometimes you got to push through a barrier in a game where it's going to be uncomfortable, like England, Italy yesterday in the Amazon. It's going to be uncomfortable. You got to get through a barrier, and so you balance that as well.